I'm from Afghanistan.
Calcutta, India.
Ivory Coast, West Africa.
I'm from Honduras.
I'm from Morocco.
I'm from Tibet.
I am from Colombia.
The population of the United States has changed dramatically in the last 3 decades, as nearly 30 million immigrants, both authorized and unauthorized, have settled here seeking freedom and a better future for themselves and their children.
We at the Migration Policy Institute have followed these changes with great interest. While the Institute studies the movement of people worldwide, our work on the impact of immigration in the United States is guided by our National Center on Immigrant Integration Policy. Through this center, we provide research, information, and guidance to policymakers and community stakeholders about the challenges and opportunities of integrating immigrants in local communities. My name is Margie McHugh, and I'm the co-director of the National Center on Immigrant Integration Policy.
And my name is Michael Fix. I'm the Institute's Senior Vice President, and I co-direct the center with Margie. At the center, our work on immigrant integration looks at the numbers, dispersal, and diversity of immigrants across the United States, and the opportunities and challenges local governments face in helping immigrants fully participate in and contribute to their new communities.
In the most recent chapter of U.S. immigration history, most of our attention has focused on immigration laws and the impact adult immigrants have on other U.S. workers. A less studied but at least equally important area of interest is the effect immigration has on U.S. classrooms, where our response will play a critical role in determining the skills of our future workforce and our ability to compete in a global economy.
With this video, we hope to begin to inform a wider conversation about the number and growth of children from immigrant families in U.S. schools, the rise of new destination states, states that have not traditionally received many new immigrants, the increase in the number of students in U.S. schools who require special instruction to help them learn English, and the impact of federal policies under the country's main elementary and secondary education laws on immigrant and ELL students in their schools.
To begin our discussion, we'll examine recent settlement patterns for new immigrants coming to the United States and look at the increasing number of students enrolling in U.S. schools who require special instruction in English. These students are referred to as English language learners, or ELLs, or as Limited English Proficient, or LEP for short. In 1990, the children of immigrants were 13.5% of the nation's child population. By 2000, they accounted for nearly 20%, and in 2010, they will be 25%. In other words, as of 2010, fully 1/4 of all U.S. children lived in immigrant families, or families in which at least one parent is foreign-born. This is an extraordinarily fast rate of change. Many demographers and economists see this overall growth as a positive trend. Without immigrants and their children, the U.S. workforce would shrink, and fewer working-age people would be supporting the very large population of retiring baby boomers who are relying on major benefit programs such as Social Security and Medicare. Yet, many school districts were unprepared for this dramatic change in their student population.
Traditionally, most immigrants settled in California, New York, Texas, Florida, Illinois, and New Jersey. Over time, these states created policies and programs to respond to immigrants and their children, including education services for the large number of English language learners in their schools. But since the 1990s, the United States has experienced a new pattern of migration. Immigrants now are moving to states that have had little history of immigration, states such as North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, Arkansas, Tennessee, and South Carolina. And these are just 6 of 15 states that saw their foreign-born populations grow by more than 200% between 1990 and 2008.
With such remarkable growth, many of these new destination states are facing rising ELL populations and are having to come up with new educational services for this growing group practically overnight. While many people would not be surprised to see that half of the children in California are from immigrant families, they might be surprised to learn that more than 1/3 of children in Nevada, almost 1/3 in New Jersey, and almost 1/4 in the states of Washington and Rhode Island are from immigrant families.
It's important to know that while many children from immigrant families are immigrants themselves, that is to say, they're born in another country, But the vast majority were born in the United States and are therefore U.S. citizens. The most recent data show that children from immigrant families under the age of 6 make up 25% of the total under 6 population. 95% of these children are U.S. citizens. Immigrant children between the ages of 6 and 17 account for 22% of children in that age range. A somewhat smaller share, that is to say 80%, were born in the United States.
With these trends, it seems clear that the children of immigrants will make up a larger and larger percentage of students in U.S. classrooms in both new destination and traditional immigration states for our foreseeable future. Not surprisingly, the children of immigrants often speak a language other than English when they enter U.S. schools. As the number and share of students from immigrant families have grown, the number of children who are classified as ELL or as limited English proficient, a similar designation, has increased.
While the total enrollment of children in U.S. schools was basically flat between 1998 and 2008, the share of students who were classified as ELL grew from 3.5 million students in 1998 to more than 5 million in 2008, a 53% increase nationwide. The growth of the ELL population was much larger in some states than it was for the nation as a whole. This was due to the new settlement patterns we mentioned earlier. Between 1998 and 2008, states such as South Carolina and North Carolina, Indiana, and Arkansas had ELL growth rates of more than 250%.
As might be expected, California and Texas have the largest ELL populations, with California schools educating some 1.5 million ELL children. Texas has less than half that amount, with roughly 700,000 ELLs. Florida, New York, Illinois, and Arizona are in the second tier of large ELL states, with between 150,000 and 250,000 ELL students each. And 12 states have between 50,000 and 150,000 ELLs, while another 20 states have between 10,000 and 50,000.
Given those numbers, immigration and ELL issues are no longer the concern of a handful of states that have been the traditional destinations of immigrant families. Today, these issues are part of education policy discussions in nearly every state.
The growth of ELLs nationally roughly paralleled the rise in popularity in education policy circles of standards-based school reform, many of the theories of which were enshrined in federal law with the signing of the No Child Left Behind Act by President George W. Bush in early 2002. This reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act tied federal support to a new system of academic assessments and measures of progress for all students.
In one of the most significant acts of immigrant integration policymaking ever, the law included ELLs in its testing and accountability provisions. Their inclusion prodded many states to move quickly to build the quality of teaching, curriculum, assessment, and other educational services ELLs needed.
Now, under federal law, if schools don't demonstrate that their ELLs are making sufficient progress over time in learning academic subjects and gaining English skills, they can be subject to severe sanctions, including the ultimate sanction of closing the school. States, local school districts, and individual schools continue to work to meet the law's strict requirements and provide appropriate educational services to ELLs, and many of them have been successful.
For example, many state and school districts are revamping their curriculum to ensure ELLs are receiving challenging instruction as they learn English, and that what ELLs are taught in their classes is aligned with what their peers who know English are being taught in theirs. Much of the law's architecture is built around assessments and tracking student progress. This has required school districts to create valid and reliable tests to measure what ELLs are learning and to set targets for their progress in key subject areas and across all grades in all 50 states. Many states are working together to create these rigorous assessments and use common curricula. So a significant side benefit of these efforts will be the opportunity to compare the progress of ELLs across states.
The law is also pushing states to improve the quality and effectiveness of their teachers. This is an important issue since licensing standards for English as a second language, or ESL teachers, vary widely by state, and since so many content area teachers who work with ELLs do not have ESL teaching certification.
By designing the law to provide parents with more information about their children's progress and the quality of their schools, in a language parents can understand, Congress hopes that parents will be more informed and therefore more active in securing a quality education for their children. That interest in driving reform locally is also behind the federal government's emphasis on developing better data systems at the state and district levels to track and report student, teacher, school, and district information.
These changes are proving vital in highlighting ELL education issues and bringing new attention to challenges these students and their teachers face.
We've only had a chance to touch briefly here on the number, growth, and dispersal of immigrant and ELL students in U.S. schools, and the current framework in federal education law that's attempting to drive improvements in the quality of education provided to them.
You can find a great deal more information on these issues by exploring our website at migrationpolicy.org. There we've established the ELL Information Center under our National Center on Immigrant Integration Policy. You'll also find fact sheets on a wide range of ELL issues, as well as state-level data resources on students, demographic portraits of immigrant families and their children, and our second brief video on ELL student performance issues.
The Migration Policy Institute encourages you to participate in issues involving immigrant and ELL education. By providing the latest research and information about immigration, immigrant families, and their children, we hope to inform the efforts of policymakers and community stakeholders at all levels who are grappling with how to best serve the interests of immigrants and their children and the larger communities in which they live. Thank you for joining us today.
I am from Colombia.
And I am from Mexico.
Malaysia.
Guinea, West Africa.
Yemen is in Middle East.
Haiti. I'm from Thailand.
I'm from El Salvador.
Liberia,
Mongolia.
Pakistan.
Dominican Republic. Ecuador.
Ukraine.
Sierra Leone, Freetown.
I'm from China.
I'm from Bangladesh.
I am from Uzbekistan.